I have a hot take.
Let's go.
For describing this movie.
The hottest. Give us the hot take.
I think you've got one part A Christmas Carol, one part Sliding Doors, which you mentioned also, one part Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and a sprinkle of Monsters, Inc.
Sprinkle of Monsters, Inc. The Doors.
The Doors.
The Doors. Welcome back to No Bad Seats, the Regent Cinemas podcast with myself, Luke Mack, and
Sam from Bratface Media.
And we just saw another movie. I was going to ask you how you're doing, but I know that you're doing great because
obviously
we watched movies. We watch movies. So you're doing great. I'm doing great. We just saw another movie. It's always nice. I actually revisited a movie yesterday and went and watched the original Tron in anticipation of Tron Ares.
Wonderful. I did something similar the other day as well.
Okay, go. What did you?
Well, I went back and watched The Running Man, which we spoke about I think last week.
We did, yes.
Hadn't seen it before, but went and watched that, which was cool. Yeah. It was that sort of typical 80s action.
Well, we discussed a couple of weeks.
Discussed
a couple of weeks ago whether we would go back and watch these.
Yeah.
And you decided, obviously, influenced by the episode.
Yes.
By the discussion, you went back and watched it, and you convinced your wife.
She convinced me. She was the one that was like, "Oh, that looks cool. Let's watch that." And I was like, "Oh,
all right,
okay."
The question is, do you now have to bring her to watch The Running Man when Glen Powell version comes out?
Probably, because she fell asleep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
the typical wife thing to do. Yes.
Yep,
she fell asleep. So we will be coming to see the Glen Powell version.
Couldn't fall asleep with Glen Powell in the lead.
Of course not.
No, it's too good looking. So I watched Tron, which was interesting. I have seen Tron Legacy.
Yep.
I think I saw Tron as a kid.
Okay.
It was interesting because I don't want to say it was bad because it wasn't bad, but the story held up.
Yeah.
But being a movie from the 80s that leans heavily on like futuristic graphics where everything looks like Pong.
Yes.
And Space Invaders, it was like really hard, and then like all of the color is like really blown out. It's like gray completely in the machine except for the colors of their suits and all that, but it makes everything really blue, everything really red, and really over the top. So it looked atrocious in hindsight, obviously, but it did get me excited to sit. Like, the world's interesting.
Yes.
It's got a good cast, and it's just one of those movies where it's like you can understand why it's a cult classic, and it's something that I'm looking forward to revisiting.
And it's spanned so many generations
exactly.
now.
Exactly. We're about to go into
Legacy came out
2010.
2010.
Yeah.
So there's people that are going to be interested in Ares.
Yeah.
That maybe
miss Legacy,
15 or 20 years old that had no idea about Legacy.
Yeah.
They're going to see that and go, "Oh, I've got 2 other movies to catch up on that I can go back on." That their father or
will know about. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I think another thing that makes it really interesting too is that Legacy was done by Joseph Kosinski, who is on a hot streak right now with F1 and with Top Gun Maverick recently. So he's a name who has, come into the cultural zeitgeist pretty strong over the last few years. So
I think with Maverick was the big push, and then obviously F1 just continued that. And I think the way his approach to things it's sort of on that same level as Christopher Nolan in a way of he likes to do things practically and likes to make things in camera, and I think we appreciate that. Everyone appreciates that, and I think gone are those days where everything was green and blue screen. We're seeing a lot more of the movies coming out that are leading more heavily towards we want to do this properly, like we used to back in the day.
It is interesting how it went from, practical effects to expanding into the early 2000s and CG becoming a thing that became sort of commonplace.
Yeah.
It became more commonplace, and then from there, digital film, and everything sort of expands in that way. It becomes overused. Because it's overused, the teams doing it don't have as much time to spend on it. It starts to progressively look worse, and now we're like like turning into the new cycle where it's like, okay, now we want to do things practically. The irony is that, there's all this talk about being pro or against AI use.
Yeah.
But a lot of what the people who are pro AI use want to do is use it for tools to speed up these processes to help things move along. So there is potential that we sort of go over the next, 10, 15 years, we flip back in a cycle where it's like, okay, we've moved back into doing things practically to like now we can do this digital stuff more efficiently, and it starts to lean back in that, and it sort of gets into this cycle of...
I think with the AI, it's very hard. I think people are putting too much into it in terms of like speeding up processes. I think is great.
100%.
Use it for those things that nobody wants to do. Things like that. But CGI and 3D animation and all of that stuff, there is people who adore that. There's people that love that and have trained their whole life to make that.
And there's a difference between that and like using it to speed up processes and generative AI.
Yes.
And we're not saying like use the AI to replace, but I think like in order to build and design, 3D animations and things, you want somebody doing that. But how they can use that, and I think Hollywood are going to lean further and further into just an efficiency program.
Yeah, and I think that's the best use for AI, is that sort of efficiency stuff rather than the generative stuff. Like, why are we trying to take away the art forms and giving it to a computer? Like, and the only reason that's happening is cheap.
Yeah.
And we don't want cheap.
Like, it's always about money.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. And a lot of the time that money mindset wins over in Hollywood for a time. And then after a while, it changes again. Like, I think at the moment we're seeing a bit of a resurgence in these lower budget films that are coming out again, and new interesting stories versus the like probably 10 years ago where it was just blockbuster, Marvel 15th phase.
Yeah, and there was
like that. So
there was an element of where you could argue Hollywood as a industry peaked in the last 5 years, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
It was a constant build, but I think something like $12 billion was made in 2019.
Yeah.
Compared to like post-COVID, I think the highest is like 5 billion.
It seemed like every movie that
billion?
wasn't a low budget film was the goal was $1 billion.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I think like we saw Superman come out this year.
Yeah.
Superman, essentially the biggest, arguably the biggest DC character.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's look, as a massive Superman fan, Superman is the superhero. He's the original superhero. He's the guy.
Yeah. I would argue that Batman is a bigger hero in terms of the pop culture.
He's also a bigger box office pull.
Yes, definitely. But Superman should be a big box office pull, and it was like 600 million, something around that.
See, I take issues with this argument because there was so much push initially, and I just feel like the goalposts were moved on this movie because there was so much push. You say
Except
like
they brought the goalposts back rather than pushing them further.
It was like, it's easily going to clear $1 billion. No way it doesn't clear $1 billion. Look how much marketing we're doing, and they did a lot of marketing. Like they put a floating Superman above the Sphere in.
Yes.
Or the Spire or whatever it is in London.
Yep.
They put stuff everywhere. They did a lot of marketing in a short period of time, so it was blanket. And far more than I've seen for any other movie this year. And people were comparing it to a Barbie level campaign. And then they go, it's getting a couple of weeks out and it's the pre-sale tracking isn't looking great. No, we don't need $1 billion. We only need 700 million. That's what James Gunn said. And then 700 million for a couple of weeks was the push. And then the movie came out and he's like, this narrative of 700 million is absolute crap. No, we don't need that. We just need 500 million. And I'm like, you've literally halved it based on like what projections were saying because of all this marketing. Like, I don't agree with the idea that, the $1 billion wasn't there. I agree that now, sure, we've seen what it's looking like and we've said, it's probably only going to make 600 million. We only need 500 million. Look, huge success. Sell us to Paramount now.
Yeah.
But, I feel like that was the whole point of it. Whereas they turn around and say, what do you mean if Jurassic World Rebirth doesn't make $1 billion? It's not a huge success, but like a movie that makes 200 million less is able to be called a success. And then you've got every Marvel movie underperforming. Like, it's so hard because I feel like the box office is one of these things where, yes, years ago that was the case, and we have had a really good year of Sinners doing well, of F1 doing really well, of all these films that were, I don't want to say lower budget, but maybe not IP, maybe not those films that they pushed.
Didn't have a huge built-in audience.
Doing bigger numbers, and I feel like that's what you're saying. Like, there is that, but there is still a push for, there's still 100% a push for these big movies to do $1 billion. It's just that now, when they don't, the head of the company, who also happened to direct it, can go, oh, we never needed that. What are you talking about? Let's just walk it back, because it needs to be viewed as a success. And I don't have an issue with it being viewed as, needing to be viewed as a success, but I just think,
don't put out those big claims and everything.
Yeah, the $1 billion was always the target with that movie.
Yeah,
it was always the target with that movie until it wasn't, and then it was less, and then it was less again, and then it's all well and good if you say, well, the movie only needs to make 65 cents in order for it to break even. Look, we sold a ticket. Yeah, like it's that easy.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And when you're the head of the company, you can say whatever you want to say.
Yeah,
in reality.
Yeah, no, it's that goalpost just kept shifting closer and closer to lower, like the lower end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I thought it was a great movie. I think you still thought it was a great movie as well. But it's not even unfortunate. It did well.
Yeah.
Why? Like, no one should be scoffing at $600 million.
When the film came out, I said, be happy with 500.
Yeah.
Like, not even when the film came out. When the film was announced, I said, they need to be happy with 500 million. They need to commit to it. Be happy with taking 500 million. It's the first film in a franchise. Then they need to build up to your billions. And then I start seeing this $1 billion narrative around, and I'm like, are you seriously doing this again? Now, again, I wouldn't have an issue with them walking it back if they had said from the start, 500 million is the goal. That's what we need to achieve, because that's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
The fact that it just walked back made me feel like you don't believe in it maybe as much as you had 2 months ago.
You look at all of the franchises that got to $1 billion, they never started with $1 billion.
No.
Iron Man didn't do $1 billion.
Well, my issue was that with Warner Brothers, the last time they tried to kick off a franchise with Man of Steel, with Batman vs. Superman, all of that, it was $1 billion targets, but they were comparing like Batman vs. Superman to Civil War. It was like movie 2 is getting compared to movie 13 in the franchise, and Civil War's making $1 billion. But like, you compare apples to apples, first 5 films leading into the Avengers versus first 5 films leading into Justice League.
Yeah, I'm like Captain America, the first one made like 300 million or something.
Yeah, but like looking at that, DC in those 5 films, in the equivalent before Avengers made $1 billion, DC's first 5 films made about 1.4 billion more as a whole than Marvel's did. But they were just so concerned with needing, the $1 billion was the number. Yeah. So that was like part of it where it was like, okay, just accept that we're not going to make $1 billion with the opening film, build up to it, and be willing to look at 2029 numbers and go, cool, maybe we're making $1 billion there. $1 billion was in 2019 like that. Put a Marvel movie out and you're making $1 billion. This year, Lilo and Stitch, I think, is the only film to have done it.
Yeah.
With the exception of Nizar 2, which made $2 billion in China before it was even released in the West.
Okay.
Which, that's huge. But I think, like, as a whole, they're starting to figure out that they need to pull things back.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have been saying that for a long time, is that we don't need you to spend $400 million on this like kind of CGI slop fest.
Yeah.
We want things like, and the Batman is probably not the best example because it still cost a lot of money, but it's very stripped back. There's not big CGI action. It's very personal.
But how do you compare something like the Batman to Superman, where it's like,
we need him to fly.
We need him to fly, shoot laser beams from his eyes.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
It is hard to compare those, but you also then look at them and say, okay, if we believe the argument that the film made or cost $200 million to make, and that's what Batman cost, you can see where the money was put in each film.
Yes.
And there's a reason the Batman looks way better.
Yeah,
like
100%.
significantly.
Yes.
Looks significantly better. And, you know, that's what benefits when the character doesn't need to have that, when the character doesn't need to have the flight or the heat vision or any of those big CGI
definitely.
monsters. And like that's something that benefits there, but then you have to question, like, if that's what's happening, why are we going like for like? Why are we putting $200 million into Batman and $200 million into Superman? Either make it good or don't spend the money.
Yeah.
Like, don't spend the money, don't spend $200 million to make a crappy looking film, or spend $363 million and actually make the film look good.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like, it's, they just haven't decided which way they want to go with it. And I feel like, yeah, I would much rather watch a Thunderbolts where it's a lower budget and the story's good. And
I mean, the guy flying with laser.
you still have it. It looks
Yeah.
fine. Not to the same extent, but it looked better.
Yeah.
But it was a lower budget. And you look at something like Weapons, which, you know, again, we don't have big CGI fights, but lower budget, good story.
Big CGI gun.
Yeah. Yeah. Big CGI gun. Sinners.
Yeah.
Another
Sinners. Perfect example, I think, is Sinners. You've got a movie that's had a bit of money spent on it, but not an obscene amount of money.
Yep.
Comes out, does really well, brand new IP, people loved it.
Yeah.
And I think people went, we want more of this.
It is really nice to see a bunch of original IP doing well this year, and I hope that it's something that allows more studios to, you know, put a bit of effort into it, even with these lower budgets. Stop doing these $200 million superhero movies.
Yeah.
And start doing $50 million smaller IP films with good directors.
Yeah.
You know, pull in these directors and make interesting stuff with it instead.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's definitely something that they need to look at. But regardless, movie news.
Yes.
Let's move on to some movie news. While we're talking Joseph Kosinski and how much we love Joseph Kosinski, he's back and better than ever.
Okay.
With a new release date, August 6th, 2027.
Yep.
Joseph Kosinski's next film comes out.
Okay. Hit me.
Miami Vice.
Interesting.
Yeah. Joseph Kosinski is rebooting Miami Vice. It's based on the pilot episode in the first season.
Yep.
And that's what
I
he's
think
doing.
the last time we saw Miami Vice was Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
I think that was Miami Vice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like a 2008 movie, 2010
That they'd
movie.
remade based on the series?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I don't really remember it. I don't think it came out to great reception. But Joseph Kosinski is coming.
I know he's filming it with IMAX.
Oh, okay.
Working with IMAX again, which is always nice. That is enough to have me sold. Like, I don't need to know much about the story. You've taken a franchise that I'm not familiar with, but you've given it to Joseph Kosinski. I'm in.
I'm keen to see a little, like, I was going to say less action heavy. I don't think it's going to be less action heavy. It's going to still be an action.
It's going to be an 80s, cop.
detective cop movie. That being said, it's going to have less action than Maverick and F1 because those were pretty much
it's going to be more story driven. Yeah.
We're going to have more people and like that type of interactions rather than like, hey, we're in a car going really fast, or we're in a plane going really fast.
They may be in a car going really fast. It's Miami Vice. I don't know.
Maybe we'll have cameras like mounted to the guns and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Just
to
go
the bullets.
Bad boys.
We'll mount some guns to the bullets and we'll shoot those.
Perfect. Those might be expensive.
Joseph Kosinski.
We're talking about bringing the budgets down.
That was my idea first.
Yeah, we're talking about bringing the budgets down, and you're just like, camera bullets.
Yes.
Perfect idea. Boom, boom. Although they would, Either you do it CGI or you do it practically.
Yeah.
You fire these cameras out of the gun.
That's what we're doing. It's
All right.
practical.
So, on that, it's interesting that you mentioned Colin Farrell, because the movie that we're going to be talking about today is Big Bold Beautiful Journey.
Yes.
But before we get there, more movie news on his co-star in this film, Margot Robbie.
Yes, okay.
Margot Robbie apparently this week, despite an endorsement from Kylie Minogue herself,
Interesting.
turned down the role of Kylie Minogue in a potential biopic. Yeah, Kylie Minogue biopic is apparently in the works, and Margot Robbie was the one that they tried to go after for it, obviously being Australian and the it girl at the moment, you know, it makes total, and blonde makes sense. But apparently turned it down because she doesn't feel comfortable doing a musical biopic if she doesn't feel like she can sing like the person who she's portraying. How do you feel on that? Like, in the sense that...
So to me, I think there's a little bit more to that than just what she has said, which obviously there's probably going to be. Margot Robbie, obviously we know her as an actress. She is also big in the producer world currently. She was a producer on Barbie, a couple of other movies. She's been a big producer and a big push on these movies.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't believe a lot in the project in terms of it doing well. Kylie's massive here in Australia, in the UK.
Yeah.
Notoriously,
Is it a Robbie Williams thing?
I was going to say, we look at Better Man. Brilliant movie. Loved Better Man. Didn't do well.
No, because nobody knew who they were.
Exactly. And there's a whole host of other issues with Better Man where it went over budget and not because they happened to go over budget, but just things out of their control. But yeah, it did well in the UK, did well here, doesn't do well in the US. And the big market is the US.
Yeah.
So I wonder if producer Margot is going a little bit like, we're not, there's not going to be a lot happening with this.
Yeah, I could see that.
Sadly, but...
I was more thinking, what are your thoughts on when somebody's portraying a character and the singing element? I mean, we've seen Timothée Chalamet do Bob Dylan recently, but then on the other side of things, Bohemian Rhapsody, Rami Malek, I don't believe sung. I think he sung some of it, but then worked with I
think for the actual
Freddie
live
Mercury
performances and stuff.
Well, he did some, but I think they actually overdubbed him with a Freddie Mercury impersonator.
Yeah, okay.
And brought him in to do it. So I don't really see a problem with that. If you're a Freddie Mercury impersonator, you're not necessarily a good actor, and vice versa.
100%, and I think it just depends on what you can get. If the right actor is for the role and they can sing, great, do that. If they can't sing, let's do the other option. Do you know what I mean? I think, going back to Better Man, we went, we don't have an actor that can play Robbie Williams, let's just make him a monkey.
CGI monkey and voice him, yeah.
Yeah, but kind of great. It worked out, and it was a very interesting and new take to the biopic that I think stands above a lot of the other ones because of how uniquely they decided to do it.
Yeah, quite cool.
But then, so I can't remember if I know he sang a lot in it, I don't know how much of the movie was all him, but Taron Egerton in Rocketman, loved.
Yep, I'm pretty sure he sung.
Yeah, I know he did for the animated movie Sing. He sang Elton John in that.
Well, you know, that's the story of how because he then met Elton John on Kingsman 2.
Yes, exactly, Elton, yeah. So in that scenario, perfect. That was perfect casting. He looks like Elton.
And he can sing like Elton.
He can sing like
and
Elton.
He had already proved it in a movie.
Yeah, exactly. So that is your perfect best case scenario. But then Rami is also a good example as well because he knocked it out of the park in terms of acting.
Yeah.
And his singing might not have been quite up to scratch, so we helped it along.
Yeah. And
did anyone
better
notice? For it.
Yeah, did anyone notice? Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I think it has to come down to ultimately is what is better for the movie, not what is better for the articles that the press are going to write about. Oh, he's not actually singing. Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't
really
matter. Does it bother anyone? Yeah.
No, that's it. Like I said, always great if they can do both and they do both well, but it's not the end of the world. To me, at least, I'm just sort of...
Yeah, no, I'm in that same boat. This week, we also have trailers that have dropped for Anaconda and for The Housemaid. We'll watch those and discuss them towards the end. But for now, we've just seen A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, which is quite a mouthful.
We have.
It's been a real pain for me to type A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey every time I make some sort of post about it or social media post. It's like ABBBJ story, ABBBJ post, ABBBJ screens. Like having to do this for everything. But A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, and this was one that I was anticipating, honestly. It was originally due to come out in May. I remember March rolled around, and it's like Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie are going to be in this new...
I was going to say, I do remember trailers like way back for it.
No. Opposite.
I'm sure I saw.
Opposite. March rolls around. Film's coming out start of May. It's the end of March. We still haven't seen a trailer. I'm going, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah.
Trailer must have dropped June. So it's not like super long ago, but they then pushed the film to September.
Yeah.
And then the trailer like was more recent than I thought. But I remember like seeing, we haven't seen a poster, we've seen some set images.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, is the set images.
There were set images.
I remember the
out,
doors and like pictures of Margot and Colin together, and I was like, when is this coming out? I think moving it was probably a good choice.
What else was in May? Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch.
What was the other one? Ballerina, things like that came out in May.
Yeah, that was in June. I think, May. It was supposed to be early May. You know, there's not a whole lot of like major competition. Like this week, it's very much kids' films. So it's like, in terms of competition for this genre of movie, there isn't really any. So it's fine.
It may have come out when Materialists, was that around that same time? That was around
couple of weeks.
then.
It would have been probably
within the same sort of
3 to
month
4
or
weeks
so.
before Materialists, originally.
Yeah.
With its original slate. But Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey is Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie, as we discussed. Harley Quinn and the Penguin, as they are
teaming up,
known amongst my household. They meet at a wedding where they both interestingly have had their cars break down and have to get a rental car from the rental car agency, literally called the rental car agency. And then the GPS tells them to meet. It's an interesting concept. It's a bit odd in that sense, but it makes for a fun, sort of way to kick off the story.
I think I said to you, it very much lives in its own reality. It's not one of those movies where you're going to be like, oh, that wouldn't happen, because there's so many absurd things that happen that would literally never happen. So it's one of those movies that lives in movie land or movie world. Things don't make sense, but they make sense to the story because it's in its own sort of contained reality. Now, I have a hot take for describing this movie.
The hottest. Give us the hot take.
I think you've got one part A Christmas Carol, one part Sliding Doors, which you mentioned also, one part Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and a sprinkle of Monsters, Inc.
Sprinkle of Monsters, Inc. The Doors.
The Doors.
The Doors. Yeah, I see that actually. You'd have the Christmas Carol where it's like the whole sort of plot is that they're going through these doors into the previous moments of their life and sort of being able to experience and relive those moments in order to get to know each other and themselves. Sliding Doors, obviously you're seeing moments where they're making different choices.
Yeah.
And how that affects it.
Hitchhikers, the things that I saw were those like really quirky, out of this world, random things that happen, and you're like, what?
Like the dolphins saying goodbye and thanks for all the fish.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then
wrong
like
movie.
Even the GPS, talking to them and telling them what to do.
And the visual of the GPS looked very Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a random sort of mismatch of movies, and that I think
all
sort of
tied in a romance.
Yeah, that probably leads into my sort of biggest issue with the film is that it felt a little bit messy in parts. There's certain parts that I loved and thought were great. There's certain parts that really pulled on the heartstrings, and I sat there with a bit of a tear in my eye.
Yep.
But then there was other parts where I was like, what's happening? Come on, let's give me another door. Because
I think when they shift reality a bit, you know, when it's these movies where it's like door into a new reality, but then there's moments where they're not necessarily walking through a door and it's like new reality, and now they're sort of talking, but it's within a grey space, within some sort of, and it's sort of, the idea is that you're viewing them through just a different lens.
Yeah.
But that's not exactly what's happening, but we're seeing it that way. It's this weird neutral space, and I think sometimes that can throw you through a bit of a loop. I don't know if messy is the word that I'd use, but I can understand where there would be a confusion for a lot of audiences.
Yes.
In that sense.
I think even some of the dialogue, particularly towards the beginning, felt really off.
Yeah.
There was, at the wedding, there was a couple of times where they were talking and I was like, this feels like we're reading from a movie script.
See, I didn't feel that, but what I felt like was that it was more they had known each other, or there was more like, it was like this conversation feels way more familiar than than these two people meeting. And I sort of was thinking like maybe that's sort of the whole thing, this like weird full circle where it's like they're not. So that was my thought with it. It didn't feel like a script, but it felt familiar. It felt overly familiar. And I sort of feel like that was maybe part of what the goal was, given the situation. It was like they were already in it, because obviously you see them receiving the cars and stepping into that role, stepping into this zone, was at the start of the film pre-wedding.
Yes.
So they're already sort of in this world by that point. It sort of feels like they're starting to be open. Like the whole thing is like Colin Farrell on the phone to his dad saying, the world's better when you're open to things, And his dad's trying to tell him that and reiterate that to him. So that's how I sort of felt like I got away with the familiar dialogue, because it sort of felt like in the world, like he was already sort of open. Yeah, he was willing.
I can see that,
and though we didn't see her picking up the car, the implication was there. You know, she pulls up in the exact same rental car and
the Saturn or whatever it was, the 1994 Saturn. Is it Phoebe Waller-Bridges? Yep, that's the name. Bridge. Yeah.
You're thinking Sam Porter-Bridges from
maybe.
Death Stranding. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Yep.
Yes, she was great.
Yep.
She has a role within the rental car agency that was hilarious.
Really, really funny.
And
great
along
accent.
with Kevin Kline, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
I think that's the name.
Yeah.
They played off each other really well. And that, like, their scenes gave me that full, like, Hitchhiker's Guide type of vibe.
Yeah. They had more knowledge than we did.
Yes.
They were very much like, you could tell that they were in on it.
Yes.
In on whatever this is that we're about to go on. They were running the show.
Yeah.
They were involved. I thought they were quite good too.
You know, her accent, so just hilarious, especially over the speakerphone when she's first trying to get him to open the door. Yeah, like you have to open the door a half beat after.
But if you try and do it a quarter beat, it
will not work.
That whole thing was really fun. I thought, as you said, there was moments in the film that were quite strong, were quite powerful. One particular element that I really thought, and we see it in the trailer, is them revisiting the high school.
Yes.
Revisiting Colin Farrell's high school. And one thing that I thought was great about that, when he's having to get up and do his play and perform, and I love this sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, now we're in a reality where I remember I'm from the future, but you're just living life as normal. And he's going, you know, when like Jason Bourne forgets that he's born, but like then he remembers that he can do it even though he doesn't remember who he is. And the guy's like, who's Jason Bourne? Because it's the 80s. You know, great. I love that sort of thing where it's like, oh, there's a little nod to the audience. we understand that.
Yeah, definitely.
But like he's going, here's a reference that makes total sense in my head, but nobody else gets it. It's got like that sort of Back to the Future vibe in that sense.
Yeah,
it's like,
I think
you know,
definitely has
here's
some,
a
like, Back to the Future reference, or not references, but that vibe in there.
Exactly.
That really plays well, and it's going to be an audience pleaser in those type of aspects.
Yeah, and also just getting to see Colin Farrell dance and the explanation of why he does dance and why he doesn't, and all that sort of thing. I thought it was great, and then there's this thing with this film where you get these characters, and it's these pretty sort of basic two-dimensional characters at the start of the film, and we sort of get a bit of an idea about both of them. But the whole film is like peeling layers off each of them. Every time we step into a new zone, it's like, okay, here's why. Here's why they're that way. Here's why they're that way. And giving these elements to, and leading towards a pretty emotional sort of endpoint with the two of them, you know, together but separate, is quite nice. I actually thought that, you know, progressively it was like adding layers to these characters, or peeling layers back rather, about why they're a certain way, was pretty beautiful. Honestly.
Yeah, no, I think that definitely is a good way to think about it. Like peeling those layers away is, and every time you got more and more. So you'd like, one of my favorite ones was when he went. She was visiting her mother in hospital, and you thought they were in the same hospital, and then all of a sudden he walks through into a hospital waiting room where he meets his father, and that scene I found very emotional. I thought that was great, and it really brought a different aspect to it that I didn't think we were going to get.
Yeah,
and I really liked that. I thought that they those particular ones really hit it out of the park. But then there was like another one where they went to a cafe. Yeah. And I just was like, well, when's this scene ending? Yeah. Like there was hits and misses with those different doors and those different layers peeling off. Some felt really strong, and then some felt sort of. And
I get where they were going with it story-wise, why they needed that. Yeah. But yeah, I think the stuff with the parents was definitely the strongest.
Oh yeah.
Elements in the film. Yeah, definitely the case for me.
I think one of the other strong parts of the film is the production design, costume design.
Gorgeous. It was shot really beautifully. It was quite cinematic.
I was going to say there was some very painterly frames. There's a few different parts towards the beginning, through the whole film, that just looked like paintings. There's a particular one that I saw at the start with Colin Farrell standing outside with an umbrella, and I think it was a top-down shot looking at him at the door, and I was just like, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, a lot of those moments throughout the film.
You could make the argument that, like, oh, that's not real in terms of like cinematography. Like there was a random kind of spotlight on him a little bit on a rainy day that kind of looked like sunlight, but it doesn't matter. It looked great, and I think we need a little bit more of that in movies. Sometimes not everything has to be grounded in reality. There was another one I really loved from inside the door, looking out into but sort of the door was in focus. Colin Farrell was behind that, trying to lean in, and just the colours and everything just looked beautiful, and it looked like a painting.
I think they did a good job with the doors and the door design as well, of making everything look really unique. Yeah. Nothing looked like a bland, normal door.
Yes.
But nothing looked so over the top or out of the ordinary that you wouldn't see it every day. Yeah. But they all looked unique and they all popped because of it. And I think it was a really interesting way to set this sort of framing up. The colour and costume design was a big element of it for me, where obviously he spends the entire time in blues, she spends the entire time in reds, and they're sort of like clashing the entire time throughout the film. There's moments where they're all in grey, where it's this neutral space. Yeah. I thought that was really interesting design work, and the way that it's progressively like blending was great.
Yeah, no, I think they did a perfect job with that. That was really, and like coming to the end and seeing where they've gone with the colour and everything, that pays off, and it was great. Yeah.
So you're our resident romance guy.
Yes.
As we've discussed.
Making me sound like a romantic here.
You are a romantic, Sam. How do you feel overall? Where would you put this on the scale of your favourite romance films?
It would sit somewhere in just sort of in the middle, I think. There was things to really like about it.
Yep.
I could see my partner really liking it, but it's not like up there for me or anything like that. Whereas like last week when we saw Splitsville, I loved that. I thought that was like straight to the top of my list of like romance, kind of romance movies, but sitting in that same sort of category. Whereas I feel like I've seen this
feels like
movie
drama
before.
romance though.
Yes,
like compared to comedy romance. There's sort of different.
I feel like I've seen movies like this before, and I feel like I've seen Colin Farrell in this movie before. I think the one I'm thinking of is A Winter's Tale, and it is nothing like this.
Yeah, okay.
But it has that same sort of aspect of like almost like time travel and romance and love.
Yeah.
And was he also in The Time Traveler's Wife? No, that's Hugh Jackman, I think.
I never saw that film and I don't remember.
See, I am the resident romantic.
You are the resident romantic. That's it.
Yes, but A Winter's Tale is the one with Colin Farrell in it, and he is from the current day and then travels back or something like that. And it just kind of had slight vibes to this. Obviously very different, but like I said, I felt like I had seen Colin Farrell in this movie before, or in a movie very similar, and I think it's that one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for me, I liked it. I thought it was one of those films that it's definitely one to watch with you, like watch with your partner. I think my wife would also enjoy this film. Yeah. And, you know, I'd happily take her to see it. I think, I liked Colin Farrell in this movie more than I liked Margot Robbie in this movie, which is probably atypical. Margot,
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell is great.
Just a heartthrob.
He is, but I just think his character was more interesting to me than Margot's character was.
He was much more charismatic in this than Margot was. Margot comes in a bit guard up, I think.
Yeah, but holds that for a really long time. So it makes it hard to sort of fall into it. But we do see real brilliant moments again with the parents. So
yes,
you know, it's definitely one of those films that I think taking the wife to see, 100%.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely give it a go.
That's it. We have some more things going on this week.
Yes.
But we're going to pause right now so that we can then chop it up and make it easier.
Yes, we can.
So I'm excited because we have something that I have been pushing.
Yep.
Magic Mondays is coming up. Now, Magic Mondays is very important. Harry Potter back on the big screen every Monday for 8 weeks.
Very cool.
Yeah. Are you a big Harry Potter guy?
I wouldn't say I'm a big Harry Potter guy.
Oh, well, then you're wrong.
I grew up with Harry Potter. Read the books.
Yep.
Watched the movies as they came out. Loved them. I'm not quite the fanatic level that a lot of Harry Potter fans are.
Yeah. No, I would probably say I'm the same. I read all the books, loved them, loved the movies. I even enjoyed the Fantastic Beast movies. I like being in the world. The Wizarding world is interesting to me. So, yeah, and it's one of those things, you know, you see these films like Harry Potter, and when you haven't seen them on the big screen for a while, it's like they're these comfort films you can go back to every couple of years, watch all of them, and just be like, yeah, I'm so glad that I saw this. My wife never saw them on the big screen. She didn't start watching the films until the last one had already been out at the cinema. And then she was like, oh, these are awesome.
I think the only one I didn't see on the big screen was Part 2, Deathly Hallows.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah, I know. It was a weird thing to not see on the big screen. It was just like at that time in my life, I can't remember if it was like working or whatnot, but just didn't get to it. And then like later on saw it and still loved it, but like was like, yeah, why didn't I get to that at
It's
cinema?
crazy. Like I just remember it being this like huge event, and I can't even remember where I saw it, but I definitely saw all of them at the cinema because I remember my auntie took me to see the first one in 2001, and then when I came home, my cousin had the first 3 books and the 4th one was about to come out. So like I picked up the book and started reading it after seeing the first movie, and you know, was involved from then. So yeah, so it's nice to have one a week. I think the cool thing is, you know, sometimes you do marathons, and like we did, I think last time we had them here, we did 1, 2, and 3 sort of back to back, and then we did 4, 5, 6 back to back, but they're long films. They're 2.5 hours each.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, you start doing that and it starts to stack up. So I feel like one a week is easily
manageable.
Yeah, easy to digest. You can go, I'll go and watch one movie every Monday night for 8 weeks. I can make that happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really exciting to have on, because I want to try and do more retro films. We've got heaps of stuff coming up with, what we're talking about, fanatics and more of these like big franchise films that are coming in. We've also got all the Twilight films coming back for October for Halloween. So like we got those. Sure. You didn't miss any of those at the cinema, did you?
And of course not.
Yeah, of course.
Day one.
Ironically, I think the only one that I didn't see at the cinema of those was the last one, part 2.
I think I watched the first one, maybe the second one.
And you haven't seen the others?
No, I haven't seen the Demon Baby.
What do you mean? You don't know
I've seen
how
YouTube
it ends?
videos of the
All right, guys. Comment if you want to see Sam attend every single one of the Twilight films at the cinema. We are here for the audience, Sam. If they want you to talk about how you enjoyed the Twilight films, we've got to do what we've got to do.
Okay.
All right? Drop a comment if you want to see Sam.
No. It needs to be like 50 comments.
A single comment will do it. From your wife, probably.
Yeah, probably. That's probably what's going to happen.
Take me to the movies to watch all the Twilight films. No, so we've got those coming back, which is really cool. And we've got like a bunch of movies for Shocktober. I know Barbarian's coming back. It's a Zach Cregger film, which I still haven't seen. So maybe I'll get to watch it there, especially after Weapons.
I really love the retro the movies coming back. I think it's a really good way to get some of those old films that some of us never had the chance to see.
Back to the Future, 40th anniversary is coming back.
Oh, my partner might be in for that one.
Yeah.
She loves Back to the Future.
Well, after Twilight, you guys can make it.
Yeah, exactly. Back-to-back viewings.
Back to back.
I was quite bummed I missed the Jaws 50th anniversary one.
Yep.
Because never seen that on the big screen.
Yeah.
So there's so many of these films that we know and love, but never got to see on that actual big screen where they belong.
I think the hard thing too is, I know that like they come back every now and again, and sometimes they just don't line up.
Yes.
And then you miss it, and you're like, oh, I really wanted to see that. We had a couple of years ago, we had a March, maybe it was last year. We had, I think in March, a retro film every single night.
I think it was, because I think I remember seeing
for the month.
Yeah, the breakdown.
And I had to go through and be like, I want to see this. And I like ticked it off, and there was like 18 of the 31 films that I would really have liked to see. And I got to 2 of them.
Yeah.
The good news, I saw Fight Club on the big screen, which was great, but my wife had never seen Fight Club, so she got to experience that on the big screen for the first time. But we had Batman Returns, which I really would have loved to see. We had Shawshank Redemption, which I really would have loved to see. So there's all these movies that I'm like, okay, now can we bring all of this back so that it lines up with my schedule?
Yeah. I think that's probably the only downfall, is that they're generally a one night, one time type of thing, and then finding that time or being like, oh.
And that's why I think like with the Harry Potter one, it's great because it's a Monday night and it's going to be for 8 weeks. So then you go, okay, well, if I know that, then I can plan around it. Whereas when it was 30 films over 30 days, it's like, if I want to see 18 films, I'm here every day.
Yes.
For 18 days.
Yeah, no, I think
Plus
that
the days
one
I'm
a week is something you can plan for and go. Because I'm guessing the same time every week. Yep. So it's
6 p.m. Mondays for 8 weeks.
It's easy. Yeah. It's easy to go.
Harry Potter.
Book it in.
Back on the big screen.
And I'm sure there is going to be a number of people booked in for all of them.
If I can get it pretty well sold out, I think we might start like sorting
Lord
people as they walk in.
Oh, okay.
We might start, giving house points.
You might start a riot.
I might start,
sort them into the wrong house.
Not Slytherin, not Slytherin. Not Slytherin, eh? Oh man, I can't wait. I'm really excited, and I'm keen to watch them all on the big screen again. And then there's a whole slew of films that I really want to get back on the big screen. So it's just going to be a matter of
So
if retro movies
take us
like
a little
Harry
bit
Potter.
behind the scenes with the retro viewings.
Yep.
Is this something that Village decides on, or is this something that you guys decide on?
So it's a bit of a mixed bag. Some things like your Shocktober, pre-planned. Some things like Back to the Future, that's actually Hollywood. So 40th anniversary of Back to the Future, distributors, they decided that it's going to do it. We always have to reach out to distributors and see if it's allowed. Now, Harry Potter is one of these ones where it was an idea that I put forward and have been trying to make happen. And I planned it specifically that your 8 weeks of magic leads to the next magic school when Wicked Part 2 comes out. So it's like the Monday before is the last Harry Potter movie, and then Wicked Part 2 is coming out. So that's also exciting, another magic school, and sort of lead into that sort of magic vibe. So it's not always something like Disney does the Star Wars.
Yes.
May the 4th, screenings often, that sort of thing. But it's not just as easy as get this film on the big screen.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. And I'm just happy that this is lined up that we can. But I'm looking at how we can potentially keep doing retros and making it more consistent. So if we can do that, then happy days. We'll have much more films coming out that people will get a chance to see. So
yeah, I think that's great. Getting to get some of those big movies that we, like I said, we all know and love. And
what we might have to start doing is, if we can do that, maybe our audience wants to come along. Maybe our audience wants to suggest some things, and we can see what we can get for them, and then we all go and watch together.
Yeah.
And we can talk about it on the podcast afterwards.
No Bad Seats watch party.
Exactly. No Bad
Sounds like
Seats watches this movie. I'm down.
Sounds good.
But we definitely do that. So, yeah.
No,
all right. So, popcorn poll this week. Which is the best Harry Potter film?
Okay. Do I have to go first?
You have to go first, of course.
Oh.
It's so hard.
It is. I think the one that stands out to me is Prisoner of Azkaban. It takes a bit of a dark turn on the Harry Potter franchise.
Yep.
And that was, of course, Alfonso Cuarón.
Yep.
If I pronounce that terribly.
Yep.
Who is an excellent filmmaker. Not that Chris Columbus isn't, or any of the other directors aren't by any means. But I think he sort of came in and it felt like
it shifted.
Yes, it did. And it felt like a little bit of a time before studios sort of like mandated a tone for everything.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a little bit of uncharted territory of like, hey, I'm coming into a franchise and I'm going to change it all up.
It didn't feel like it was out of the ordinary for the franchise, though.
Oh, not at all.
You know, the first two films still had quite dark elements.
Oh, yes.
But then he came in and sort of just expanded on that. And
I think those first few films feel a little bit more, I don't mean this by a negative in any means, but like childlike.
Yeah.
And that childlike wonder.
And that's, 11 and 12-year-olds, and then you're 13, and then it starts to become, and they progressively get more adult.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I think Azkaban came at that right time of going into sort of adolescence and really like playing on that well in the like big shift, but still within the same world. Doesn't feel like it's out of the world or anything like that. But I think that's my one. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think for me, the one that really stands out, I can't decide between the first two. I think Chamber of Secrets could be it. I just think there's so many cool moments that stand out to me. Godric Gryffindor's sword, the flying car, the fight with the basilisk, like the whole thing. I think Kenneth Branagh as Lockhart is hilarious. There's so many good moments in that. We get Malfoy and the Nimbus 2001s, like the worst named broomstick of all time after the Nimbus 2000 was so badass. And the Quidditch element playing into it makes, like, I just think that that's a moment where just so many things worked, but it still sort of felt like that original one. I love all of them. I still remember having all the DVDs, and particularly the first few, the way that they folded out, like the artwork.
paper one.
Yeah, the way that the artwork was designed. I love the green element of Chamber of Secrets and the way that it all looks.
Didn't they do that for the first two, and then like the third or fourth, they just stopped doing it? Yeah.
And
because
like you would fold them all
ones.
out, and there was Quidditch inside, and I think I've still got the first one sitting at home. I was looking at it the other week, but I just think, Chamber of Secrets is one of those ones that really stands out to me. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But again, and that's not to say that any of them are bad. I love them all. I think progressively, they get darker, they get more full on, but there's something really fun about those early couple of films where it is that sort of childlike wonder, and you walk in, it's like, you're seeing all of this stuff going on. So seeing that back on the big screen will be great.
I'm going to flip it back on you.
Go.
Worst one. So
So
what do we got? We got Philosopher's
so
Stone.
hard to say because I don't
Chamber
think there are
Secrets.
any that are bad.
Exactly.
I would say probably my least favorite of the films, off the top of my head, and I haven't seen them in a few years, would be Deathly Hallows Part 1, because it's a Part 1.
Yeah.
It's always hard with the Part 1 to justify telling half a story
Yes.
and not getting the conclusion.
Yep.
It always makes things difficult. I don't think they did it badly. I think there were some really standout moments there, but without a conclusion, you're sort of ending in the middle of the story. So
Yeah, I think I'd probably go the same. Is it Order of the Phoenix? I was gonna
Fifth one?
possibly say it, but I haven't seen it in
yonks.
forever.
Yeah.
And I'm only would be choosing that because I don't remember it. Whereas
okay.
it could be great.
There are some
I need to
badass
revisit.
moments in that. I actually remember Order of the Phoenix being my favorite book when the books came out.
Okay.
I remember going to the shop, going down to Kmart,
Yeah.
getting it off the stand. It was like this thick,
Yeah.
just giant.
'Cause they like progressively got thicker
Yeah,
too.
just insane. You're just reading a brick
Yeah.
by the end of it.
Deathly Hallows was gigantic,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. But yeah, that one was a significant jump. I remember Order of the Phoenix. I think that was actually the longest one.
Yeah.
But
I can't remember the movie, so that was my only reason to choose it. But I think I would actually go Deathly Hallows Part 1 for the same exact reasons. I dislike splitting one story into two.
Yeah.
And I know
Because
that they have so much
yeah.
information to tell, but I can't help but watch them and go, this is still a 2.5-hour movie that could be an hour and a half.
yeah,
And I would have rather take one 3.5-hour movie than two 2.5,
Yeah.
3-hour movies, or however long they end up being. I just think getting that conclusion is
it's
part
what
of
you
the
need.
whole. Yeah,
it's that's storytelling.
Yes, exactly right.
All right, now we're going to watch the trailers for Anaconda and The Housemaid and talk about those.
Let's do it.
All right, so we just watched the trailer for Anaconda, Jack Black and Paul Rudd. That looks crazy.
It looks great. It looks like such a fun time.
I knew what the story was about. They were trying to remake Anaconda, but I didn't realize that it was like, oh, they're trying to remake Anaconda, and then they get stuck in an Anaconda type situation.
Yes.
Brilliant. I love that they filmed it in Australia as well.
Yes.
Always a
plus.
good time. Yep,
Yeah.
that's always a plus. Plus for us. But yeah, Jack Black and Paul Rudd in anything is instant.
I love Paul Rudd. I think he is one of the funniest people out there without trying too hard.
Yep.
Jack Black feels like someone that tries too hard, but is still hilarious.
He tries too hard, but in the Jack Black way. It's
Yes.
like trying too hard is the Jack Black thing, and everybody's just like, oh, it's Jack Black just being Jack Black, and we love that.
Yeah. So it's not anything negative that he tries too hard.
No.
He's just hilarious doing it.
Yeah.
And no one else can do it
Super
quite like
over the
Jack.
top, yeah.
Yes. I think it's just going to be such a fun time.
Yeah.
It still looks like it's going to have some of those horror elements in it.
Yep.
But also making fun of the horror elements. I remember watching Anaconda as a kid, and it scared the hell out of me as a kid. I was just like, snakes can get this big.
So
and
now-
then like 2 or 3 years ago, I'm like watching Anaconda videos, and I'm like, these snakes aren't that big.
They're not as big as
They're
that.
not that big.
And this, does really seem to be like playing that over the top vibe.
Yeah.
Sort of has that like, when did the original Anaconda come out?
I want to say like 95,
Yeah.
something like that.
So you see
J-Lo,
that, and it's
Ice
like
Cube.
sort of like playing that well up.
Yes.
And then, just really taking the piss on it. And I love that. I just think that that's going to be heaps of fun. It comes out Boxing Day. And
okay.
I think it's a perfect Boxing Day movie, honestly. It's like that sort of thing where you don't want anything too heavy.
Yeah.
It's
just gonna be
Boxing
fun
Day,
time.
you're on holidays, you just want to go and have a fun, dumb time. And Jack Black and Paul Rudd deliver a movie in a movie.
Yeah, I can't wait for that aspect of it as well. Like being a
Yep.
filmmaker, I'm so excited about the fact that it's them trying to make an indie film
Oh,
as
yeah.
well, and then it just all going terribly well. It reminds me of Tropic Thunder.
I was going to say, yes, Tropic Thunder, but I was going to say it reminds me of the other Jack Black movie, Rewind.
Yes,
Did you see that? Or was it called
Be Kind
Be
Rewind?
Kind Rewind,
Yes.
where it was them just remaking all the movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like Tropic Thunder with some Be Kind Rewind and some Anaconda. Give us the whole thing.
And Nicki Minaj, don't forget
And Nicki Minaj.
She's not actually in it, but just
It's Anaconda's playing.
the use of the song in the trailer is
Brilliant.
just...
As soon as I heard it, I was like, of course.
yeah.
It's that Michael Bluth meme,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what I expected. Yeah, it's
Yes.
that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But Anaconda, Boxing Day, I'm excited about it.
I'm in.
So The Housemaid. I don't know about you, but I have no idea what this movie is about. I've never read the book. Every woman in my life has read the book and is very excited for the movie. So that's always a positive.
Okay.
But watching the trailer, I was like, I don't know what's going on.
I thought I had it figured out.
Yep.
Started watching it and I was like, this is the typical, what do you call it?
You bring in the maid sleeps with the husband,
Yeah, and
the
then-
wife goes crazy and kills it.
Yes. The more the trailer went on, the
Yeah.
more I was going, what's going on? And then getting to the end of the trailer, I'm going,
Mm-hmm.
who's the crazy one?
Yep. So from what I understand, from what I've heard, the trailer is great because it doesn't give you anything.
Okay.
It sort of sets up that you think you know what's going on, and apparently in the book there's a lot.
Okay.
And there's a lot of twists and turns, and the trailer it's going to be one of those movies where if you haven't read the book, it's going to really blow you away. Apparently,
Keen.
because the story plays it up. The only thing I took issue with in the trailer is that Brendan Skellner,
Skellner, I think.
Skellner.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. He seems a little young for the role of the
Okay.
husband. But I looked up their ages. Amanda Seyfried is 39. Brandon Skellner is 35.
Okay.
And Sydney Sweeney is 28. Like, it's sort of
yeah.
fits, but, other
He
than
has
that,
a bit of a baby face.
he does have a baby face, which
So I think-
makes it hard to sort of look at him as the husband.
Yeah.
But,
Haven't seen Amanda Seyfried in a lot recently. I know
No.
she's been in a couple of different things, but I haven't seen her in anything sort of
No.
of note recently. So
No,
I'm
but
keen for that.
It's going to be, she's always good. So it's going to be good to see her back in something. And this looks like something that is potentially pretty major.
Yeah.
This is another Boxing Day movie.
Okay.
So here we were talking about if you don't want something too heavy, but I think that this will be a movie that really goes hard on Boxing Day because there's a big community of book readers who
Yeah,
are familiar with this book and excited.
They're going to be running out to see it.
Yeah.
I think Sydney Sweeney has continued to take on different roles, which is nice to see.
Yeah, it is good. It is really good.
She seems to be doing different things, which I think is great. I feel like a lot of actresses and actors that fall into this new
Young
the
actor
it,
who's in
the
everything.
it person, and then they fall into Marvel movie rom-coms
Yep.
or something like that. Like
Yeah.
they just get stuck in these all of a sudden these films. Whereas I feel like Sydney Sweeney is really, interestingly, her and Glenn Powell have both gone on to do different and interesting things. Like they're both choosing films that sort of feel different and feel new, and I really like that. I respect that. When we get to see
Absolutely.
actors doing different things rather than just coming back with the same old character playing it again and again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this film is definitely going to be one of those ones where, I'm excited because it's something that, again, you're not in on it, but you know it's going to be big.
Yeah.
So to come into it and get to experience something that I know is going to be, you sort of feel like when the story is already built, you can't be disappointed by it. You know that all these people, it's hyped for a reason. So
Yes,
sort of feels
exactly.
nice
It
to
reminds
go
me a little
into-
bit of Gone Girl.
Yeah.
So I had read Gone Girl before
Okay,
the
okay.
movie, and I remember reading Gone Girl and getting to the part
Yep.
and being like,
Holy crap.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember pages before the thing happening being like, why does this feel like it's wrapping up? And I've not read a lot of the book.
Yeah.
Or I've read a certain amount of the book, and then was just like,
Yeah.
this sort of has that same sort of feel, but this time I feel like I'm on the other side of like, I'm going to experience this in the movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Housemaid, Boxing Day. Excited.
Very excited. It's going to be a busy Boxing Day.
It's going to be a busy Boxing Day. That is it for the latest episode of No Bad Seats. Thank you for joining us as always, Sam. Thanks for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And yeah, until next time, until we see you at the movies, remember, there are no bad seats.